In this video, I'd like to talk about graphing a circle from its standard equation. So we're given this equation for the circle, and remember the standard equation is that x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to the radius squared, or r squared. And again, r is the radius of the circle, and the center of the circle is at the coordinate h comma k. So h is the x value of the center and k is the y value. So with this equation, we can determine the center and the radius of the circle and then graph it. So one way to find the center is to think about which x value makes this expression in parentheses equal to 0. And that would be a -5. The other way to look at it is that we're subtracting h in this standard equation, and you can rewrite plus 5 as minus -5. So another way to see that the x value of the center, h, is -5. And we can apply the same idea for the y value. You can see that if you plug in -2, that this expression here is equal to 0. So from this, we can determine the center to be at -5, -2. And this standard equation is equal to the radius squared. So this right here is the radius squared, which of course we can solve for. So we have that r squared is 4, and taking a square root of each side, we can see that the radius is 2. So we know our center and we know the radius. So let's start by plotting the center point here. And that's at an x value of -5, so that would be here, and a y value of -2. And the radius is 2, so we can plot a few points and then sketch our circle. So let's use the radius from the center to find the points on the edge of the circle. And if we just go 2 up, that brings us to this point. And if we go 2 down, we're at this point. And if we go 2 to the right of our center, that's at -3, -2. And if we go 2 to the left, that's at -7, -2. And from these points, we can draw a sketch of what the circle looks like. And since this is a hand drawing, we can see that this is just a rough picture, but we can get a decent idea of what the circle actually looks like. And if we use the software on the Khan Academy exercise, as long as we plot the center and one point on the circle, we can essentially stretch the circle so that it fits perfectly around this center point. And one way to check this is to take one of the points that we know is on the circle, and since we know that this radius is 2, we know the point -5, 0 is on the circle. And so if we plug this coordinate point into our equation, we should get back something that's true. So let's try that just to double check our work. We're going to plug in the point -5, 0. So x is -5, y is 0. And doing that, we get -5 plus 5 squared plus 0 plus 2 squared, and this should equal 4. And you can see this is 0, so we get 0 squared, this is 2 squared, and this, like I mentioned, should be equal to 4. And what you can see is that this is 0, and 2 squared is 4. So we get 4 is equal to 4, which is true, which confirms that this point is on the circle. So we can feel confident that this graph is correct.